we're here to talk about the Great Altiris Revival. We're really excited about it. I've got Mike Sell from Bomgar here to talk with us as well. Mike, if you want to say hello, I'll give you a quick opportunity.
Oh, thank you very much, Brandon. Looking forward to the opportunity to work with everybody and explain a little bit about Bomgar later in the presentation.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about it relatively quickly, but not too quickly. We're going to focus on three primary things today. We're going to call the first one the Book of Altiris. And the Book of Altiris is really about what is Symantec doing with ITMS 7.6? What's the excitement about? What is ITS excited about? What are other customers excited about? So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll give you some of my favorite things that Altiris 7.6 has to offer, and then we'll talk about Bomgar remote support, the partnership with Bomgar, what that means for customers, and the product itself. You know, what's so great about the product? Why did Symantec choose to partner with Bomgar for this remote support? At the end, I'll tell you how you can register for the special offer. We'll talk with Mike Sell from Bomgar about taking advantage of Symantec's offer and Bomgar's offer with the Bomgar product and what that will look like. And then we'll talk about the Altiris Revival Tour. What is ITS doing around that? What does that mean, Revival Tour? Well, we're going to be coming around to different cities, and we'll giving some training, some expertise, and just a general good time. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Let's start out with the Book of Altiris real quick, and we're going to go with Chapter 1. What is ITMS? What's the current release, and what is the buildup of ITMS? So ITMS is a holistic IT management offering that allows customers to manage different aspects of their infrastructure. So if we're looking at inventory, or if we're looking at deployment of computers, or maybe even asset management, patch management, all of those functionalities that a desktop administrator or server administrator would leverage on a daily basis to make sure that their infrastructure is managed, maintained, and also secure. So the IT management suite includes a couple of different, let's call them sub-suites. We have, first of all, the client management suite. And the client management suite is focused on your workstations. Your Windows 7, Windows 8, formerly your Windows XP machines, your Mac OS, OS X machines, your CentOS, Linux, etc. It includes everything from the initial deployment of computers using Symantec's deployment solution technology that allows us to create different images of machines and inject drivers during the imaging process, and maybe even deploy some software and configurations post-imaging. After we have an initial deployed machine, we need to know what's on that machine. So Symantec's inventory solution allows us to kind of take a deep inspection of the different inventory aspects of what you're looking for in a machine, right? Your hardware information, your software information, the patches that are installed, maybe some of the devices that are on that machine. And then once we know what's on that machine, what software is installed, what software is not installed, we might want to push software out to that machine. So we have our software management solution that allows us to deliver software and to create a whole software catalog where we can store software, we can store attributes about that software, so dependencies for the software, patches for the software, maybe even license information as well if you're working with the Altiris's asset management suite. Once we have software on a machine, what do we have to do? We have to patch those machines. We have to make sure that the vulnerabilities are limited on those machines. So rolling out anything from your standard Windows updates to your third-party updates. If we have maybe Mozilla Firefox installed, or Google's Chrome, or even your Java's out there, then we want to make sure that those are up to date. You have the most recent security patches pushed out to those machines, and that's what patch management is all about rolling out those different bulletins and security updates so that you can ensure that your infrastructure is up to date, compliant, and secure. So there's a couple of things that wrap all of these together. From a reporting aspect, we have a little more advanced reporting tool called IT Analytics. And IT Analytics really allows us to take a different view at reports. Rather than having what I call two-dimensional or Excel-style reports, we can have multi-dimensional reports to where we can have different drill downs for the report. We can have different graphics. We can even have key performance indicators so that we can have a graphical representation of how efficient and how successfully our infrastructure is operating. Great tool to be able to fully report on everything. The last piece that really ties everything together is the workflow solution. Workflow allows us to put some automation around the common processes that we're doing. So if, let's say that we have zero-day patches that we want to roll out, we want to make sure that those get out to machines very quickly and not on the standard schedules that are that we're normally patching with. We can use a workflow that will automatically execute a very quick installation of the patches and get those up to speed, up to date, really within a matter of hours rather than maybe waiting a matter of days. Very efficient to automate some of those processes. We also have Server Management Suite, and Server Management Suite extends some of the functionality. You still get the deployment solution, the inventory solution, and all the other solutions that Client Management Suite offers, but we add some extended functionality. So Inventory Pack for servers, for instance, allows us to do a deeper inspection of what is on a server. Maybe it's an IIS server. We need to take a look at not only that IIS is installed, but also also some of the other features that are beneath that. So the websites that are installed, the application pools that are installed, some of the unique information. Same thing with something like a SQL server. We might have our instances, the database instances that we want to report on, or the databases that are reporting beneath those instances. So it allows us to extend that deep inspection on the servers themselves. And the last really important functionality of Server Management Suite is Monitor Solution. And Monitor Solution really allows us to do exactly what it says, to monitor the actual infrastructure. So checking up and down statuses, inspecting the current CPU utilization, the memory utilization, reporting whenever those are outside of parameters that where they should be, and also even determining whether services are up or down. A great example of using Monitor Solution would be maybe you have your DS environment set up and you have Pixie services that are running out in the environment. Well, a common issue that we've seen in the past is that sometimes those Pixie services for some reason get stopped. And Monitor Solution can watch those services and provide remediation so that they're automatically restarted whenever it's determined to be down. So it adds a little bit of automation into the mix so that we can make sure that we're operating our environment efficiently. When we're moving to 7.6, there's a couple of upgrade paths. For those of you that are on 7.1, you need to keep in mind that we need to be on 7.1 SP2 Maintenance Pack 1.1. That's the magic version that Symantec is requiring for you to upgrade to 7.6. If you're not on that specific version, not to worry. You can do the the other updates up to SP2, MP1.1 prior to jumping up. Alternatively, you can also do a side-by-side migration. So what that means is that we stand up another server and we migrate any information that's needed, any data, any software, any policies that are required. 7.5, very similar to 7.1, we've got to make sure that we're on a specific version. So with 7.5, we need to be on SP1 hotfix 5. That's the magic number for 7.5. So if you're on that release already, you're good to go for an on-box upgrade to 7.6. After we get to 7.6, for both versions, hotfix 1 just released. It actually released about 2 days ago. So the first hotfix is out, which a lot of customers have been waiting for, so that they can make sure that any of the common issues in the general availability release have been attended to, and those bugs have been squashed. So the release notes are out there. If you need some help getting those, we can point you in the right direction. But generally, if you do a Google search for ITMS 7.6 HF1 release notes, it'll point you in the right direction. The last version, the version that I don't really like to speak about, 7.0. If you're still on version 7.0, then that would require a parallel migration, that side-by-side migration that I mentioned earlier, to where we're actually rebuilding a new box and migrating some of the data over. Symantec does not provide a direct upgrade path from 7.0. All right, this is one of my favorite parts. We're going to talk about some of the new features and some of the platform changes that 7.6 has brought out. So let's jump into that. So, and keep in mind, this is not a full list of the new features. If we went through that, then we'd be here for a couple of hours, maybe even 3. So these are just some of the favorite improvements that we've seen in 7.6. Some improved console UI. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. But the enhanced console view has some great functionality that's been added to allow us to manage more items from one view. And I'll show you that here in just a few minutes. Deployment solution has added some significant improvements as well. They've updated Deploy Anywhere to better support USB 3.0. For a lot of customers, we've seen issues with that, and in previous 7.5 implementations, we've had to work around that using a managed delivery policy or a task delivery for those USB 3 drivers. So that functionality has been improved in the 7.6 version. We've also got support for 32-bit UEFI, as well as multi-WinPE support, so that if we have older models of computers that aren't working or don't have drivers for the specific version of WinPE that we're currently using, we can leverage an older version of WinPE, or even a newer version for those of you that are working with Windows 8.1 devices. So great upgrades there. We've also got some cloud-enabled management enhancements, full support for placing internet gateways behind an F5 load balancer. We've seen this done before in the past, but we didn't have official support for that. So with 7.6, Symantec did release official support for placing that behind a load balancer. We also got some additional OS support, which we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. Some security enhancements for cloud-enabled management, specifically with third-party SSL certificate support for internet gateways. And in the hotfix 1 release, we've actually got some more support there with actually adding those third-party certificates right into the internet gateway through the setup UI. We also got, obviously, some new remote control options. Symantec announced the Bomgar partnership, as well as a remote access connector. You know, whether you're using PC Anywhere currently and you want to continue using some of that functionality, or whether you move to the Bomgar product, which we'll talk about here in just a few minutes, Symantec has added an optional connector so that we can more quickly create a right-click action to integrate with other remote solutions. So great update there. We've had some Mac agent updates as well. Some enhancements in the agent, as well as some software delivery and enhancements for that side also. We've had IT analytics enhancements. We have a brand new way of configuring IT analytics right during the installation process. Makes it a little bit more streamlined whenever we're working with it from a new implementation standpoint. And we've got a new IT analytics cube builder. So that has been updated for some newer support, a little bit more functionality, and just an overall cleaner view. The last really cool item that I think Symantec has done a great job with is the agent health. Again, I'll have a screenshot here in just a minute to talk a little bit more about the agent health. But it's been a huge feature that a lot of customers have been enjoying since we've started doing the implementations. It allows for a lot better knowledge of the health of your overall environment. So huge thing there, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So the first thing that I'm really excited about in 7.6 is a little bit more flexible target management. Now in 7.5, Symantec did add some of this functionality with the filters view and the enhanced console view, but they've also added the target management within the enhanced console view and organized it a little bit better. So on the computer's view page, the targets are now arranged in folders, and by default it shows two folders, the favorites and the system. The favorites will store your most commonly used targets, and these are unique to the user who's interfacing with the console. So each user can create their own list of favorite targets, and those will be unique to the session, the login session that they're using. So if I create some of my favorite targets, and I'm going to use Mike since he's on the line as well. Mike uses some different targets. We can store those and not interfere with each other. There's also the system folder, and the system folder stores all of the system targets, and they're now grouped according to the solution that they belong to. Makes it a lot easier for us to view where the targets are. I know that I've looked in previous implementations, and the targets were in just one giant list. So you had to search through them. You had to figure out, which targets were where. We have, maybe all computers with deployment agent, and then we have Windows computers with deployment agent, etc. So they're all grouped now by deployment solution or inventory solution, so we can much quicker ability to find them. We can also search for them right within the search bar. Maybe a little bit hard to see, but if you can see my mouse, then there's a search bar right up here, and we can search right from there. So really cool functionality. Now, if we move over to the right-hand side, there's also the ability to compile custom reports in the enhanced console view, and it allows us to get some more detailed information about the current state of client computers and software. If you need a quick report generated, it's a great way to do it rather than going through and writing the SQL code in the reports, or using the reports builder in the reports drop-down menu itself. Great easy functionality. Really, it's a matter of clicking checkboxes and moving columns to where you want them. Now, we can do a couple of things with this. We can export that report out to a CSV file, so we can do some more editing offline, a little bit of filtering from there, or we can grab the SQL for this, and we can copy and paste it into a report for your report section. So great functionality there. Now, the other thing that we can do with targets now is we can actually leverage them in the quick apply. for a policy. So whenever we're in a policy, we want to throw it out to a group of computers. The quick apply was generally only for applying to computers themselves. So we could search for a computer really quickly and then add it to the list. Now we can search for these targets really quickly as well, and we can perform the quick apply to those targets. No more having to go and build a new target. Click the apply to and then click computers and build your target out from there, or open an existing target. We can target right from we can apply right from the quick apply menu. So cool thing there. I talked a little bit a minute ago about the raw SQL validator. We can actually leverage that to view what computers are within the scope of what we're trying to query for. We can edit a query here rather than having to go over to SQL Management Studio and try the query, or having to save a report and then go back and edit it constantly. Great way to do some quick editing of an existing report and use that for copying over to a final production report. Seven point six has also released an updated agent. There is a new view in here, a lot of similar information that you've seen in the past, but some new information as well, some new items that have been unhidden and new items that have been added. The first thing you'll really notice is that there's these blue bars that sit at the top and then a green bar as well. That first bar, the green bar, and I'll point to it here real quick, this green bar actually gives us a quick view of the health of the agent right from the endpoint. So if it hasn't connected, then it'll show maybe a yellowish tint, or if there's something really wrong and it can't connect at all, then it'll show kind of a reddish tint. So you get a clear view of what's going on. You know that there's a problem. We also have a real-time information I guess log here. We can see what is actively happening as we maybe click buttons inside of the agent. If we want to grab inventory real quick, a basic inventory, then that will show us that, hey, it's been sent. No more guessing if the time doesn't change on a configuration update or a basic inventory request. We can see that it actually it was sent out. We're also we've also added a new log viewer right into the agent. So this was previously available through the agent diagnostics, which was kind of a hidden functionality that you'd have to modify either a registry value or run a command line to view. Symantec has placed this in so that whenever you call into Symantec support and they want to see logs or anything like that, you can access them a lot quicker and in a lot cleaner view, if you will, rather than looking at a .log or .txt file, so that you're not having to scroll through and not know what you're looking at. Very, very clean view here. Now, by far one of my favorite features of 7.6 is going to be the agent health. I told you guys I was really excited about this. I've been to a lot of environments where we don't know how we don't know the initial health of the environment because we don't have really good reports inside of the console to tell us, or we don't have any views to tell us what the health is of the entire environment, without having to add in some additional reports to check, agent version, some other agent-specific information. So Symantec has added a couple of nice features here for us to be able to tell what the health of either a single agent or a bulk view of agents is. And the first one we'll start with is the health status of the individual agent. So if you can see, we have a few clients that are in this all computers view. This is the lab, so there's not a whole lot in here, but we do have the SMP, and it has agent communication within the past X amount of time. It's got a configuration request within the past X amount of time, and it's got a basic inventory within a past X amount of time. All of these X's are configurable. So if we want to say, hey, we need to make sure that this agent has communicated within the past 7 days, or we need to make sure that the configuration request is no older than 1 day. We can configure these values, and we can get information based off of what those values are being returned as. So for instance, in this particular view, we have the SMP server. It's healthy because it's met the criteria that we've placed around the agent. If you look at my domain controller, which is never a good thing that the domain controller hasn't been online or hasn't sent its information in, that has not actually submitted its basic inventory or had any connectivity in over a week, which is the default that I've placed for my environment here. So it's returning a marker to say, hey, this needs some attention. You might want to look at it. Same thing for my Windows 7 box there. It's not meeting the criteria that I've placed, so it's alerting me right inside of the All Computers view that it needs attention. Now, what if I'm not too concerned about just the single computer's view? What if I want to know what the entire environment looks like? Well, Symantec's add an additional flip book, excuse me, and this actually allows us to get a more comprehensive view of what's going on. So I can see that looks like about a quarter of my environment is actually healthy. If that's the case in your environment, then we need to talk. About another quarter is currently unmanaged. I don't have an agent on that machine, so we're not worried about it reporting back, although we should, and we need to get an agent out on that machine. And about half of the environment needs some attention. There's a criteria that hasn't been met. The agents haven't reported in, or they haven't sent a basic inventory or received a configuration update. So we need to seriously check into that. So great information that it presents. The information is actually actionable as well. So we can click on a particular section of the pie chart, or we can click on a section of the percentages that are shown here, and we can actually get a nice view of the computers that are not fulfilling the criteria, or that are fulfilling the criteria. So a lot of great information. Again, this information is configurable within the targeted agent settings on how we want to track that. So some of the other features that have been added, Symantec continues to expand on their cloud-enabled management functionality. At 7.5, they released management of Windows machines, and a lot of parity with what we could do with the machines on the local area network as well as with off the local area network. Ensuring that inventory is still coming back into the notification server, ensuring that our clients can get policy updates for patches and software delivery, ensuring that tasks can still be delivered out to machines, able it on a different frequency. There's no tickle through cloud-enabled management. So a lot of parity. We can also get our app metering data sent back up, just like our inventory information. Now, 7.6, there was a real focus on another OS, because there's two kind of major operating systems out there. So Symantec decided, well, we should probably start getting some support for the Mac endpoints as well. So we have full parity now between Windows machines and Mac machines. We're able to get the inventory, software delivery, the patching, and the app metering information out to those machines regardless of their location, as long as they have an internet connection. So great, great update there for any of those who have cloud-enabled management out in the environment and are planning on upgrading. There was also some additional platform changes or additions, if you will, to the 7.6 environment. Windows Server 2012, while it was supported in 7.5, that is obviously a recommended operating system for the S&P, and there is now support for the Internet Gateway as well, whereas the old Internet Gateway had to run in 7.5 on Windows Server 2008. There's also been the addition of SQL Server 2014 to run the Configuration Management Database, the CMDB, and also, of course, we still support Microsoft SQL 2012 SP1, Microsoft SQL 2008 R2 SP2, and Microsoft SQL 2014. Some additional operating systems have improved support with the Symantec Management Agent, Windows 7 Embedded, Windows 8.1, Windows Server 2012 R2, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6.5 and 7X, as well as I think 6.6 was just announced with hotfix 1 as well recently. And then full support for Mac OS X 10.10 as well. One thing to note in 7.6 is that .NET 4.5.1 is now required for SMP server, task services, and cloud-enabled management. So for those of you on legacy environments that have been running .NET 3.5, you can rest assured that Symantec has updated the stack to support .NET 4.5, so you can get on a more recent version. So the biggest announcement, maybe even the biggest surprise for a lot of customers, was the new partnership that Symantec announced back at the Altiris User Summit. And here to talk about that, I've got Mike Sell from Bomgar, and he's going to talk about the new partnership with Symantec. So Mike, I'll hand it off to you if you want to go ahead, and you should have control so you can navigate through the slides at your convenience.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much, Brandon, and thank you everybody for joining us on this webinar today. I'll get to the next slide. Yeah, well, we're very, very excited about the partnership with Symantec, and I've only got a couple of slides I wanted to go through just to make sure everyone understands a little bit about our product architecture and why the partnership came about, particularly why Symantec had selected Bomgar. So for those of you who are not familiar with us, we've been in business for a little over 11 years. As you can see from the slide, we've got over 9,000 customers around the world using our solution. We essentially do and have been focused on remote support for all of these years. So the other aspects of Altiris that you're leveraging today, as far as software deployments, imaging, those are still going to be preserved. The focus that we've always had is on remote support. So we really look at ourselves as being a next generation remote support technology. We do not require an agent to be installed. So number one, we do work off network and we are multi-platform. So we do work with, of course, Windows and Linux, Apple, of course, and a wide variety of devices. So we have customers using Bomgar to support not just PCs and servers, but also we can go out and take control of a cash register to a wide variety of mobile devices. We have a phenomenal following, and just hearing customers, they say they love Bomgar because it just works, and that's something we hear over and over again. We just came back from a very large conference. You noticed one of the customers identified here as ServiceNow, a very large player in the IT service management space, as is Cherwell, as is there's quite a few other ticketing systems that are out there. But we just came back from the event out in Las Vegas. In one of our, we have a lot of casinos that use our technology as well because they're focused on security. But again, we're standing in our booth and just having customers after customers tell us that they love the product because it just works. So very high net promoter score, meaning customers would recommend us to a product or friend. But I think the real heart and soul of the product has to focus in on what is it we do. And again, what we're known for is security and auditing. And it's the auditing piece that sometimes people overlook, especially if you're in an environment such as healthcare, where you've got HIPAA, or if you're in retail and you have to be concerned about PCI compliance. It's actually that audit that helps with the integrations, particularly to ticketing systems. But again, first and foremost, know that we are an appliance-based architecture. Really what that means is that all traffic from the device, it's important to know that all traffic is outbound from the device back through the appliance. So it has a lot to do with our security architecture, and it's one of the reasons why you'll see the FBI, you noticed on the previous slide, we do have the U.S. Army, we have the U.S. Air Force, and this is not a small base. These are their global enterprise service desks. So what we've been focused in, and part of the reason why we have this appliance-based architecture, really centers around security. But the technicians themselves, they can be on any type of device. You could be on a public Wi-Fi network with your iOS device, securely authenticate, definitely leverage LDAP, Active Directory. We find in retail, organizations will use Radius for multi-factor authentication, certainly Kerberos, but again, verifying that the technician is who they say they are. But you can be on a public Wi-Fi network with your iPad, securely authenticate back to the appliance and take over control of a particular device, as you see on the right-hand side. And because of the wide variety of integrations that we have, I'm sure all of those on the phone are probably using some sort of a ticketing system. It certainly could be the Symantec service desk, or it could be Cherwell, it could be ServiceNow, it could be MC. We have integrations to them, but again, part of what this announcement comes out with is an integration to allow you to right-click, as Brendan had mentioned, and launch and go out and take control of that particular device. One of the things that we do intend on doing at the city tours is get into more detail and actually provide a demo so you can see the interface and see how things are working. But here again, the purpose of today is just to make everybody aware of what it is that we're doing. I've got one feature just as an example. If you're using vPro, if you have vPro enabled, we can actually remotely go out and flash the BIOS of a device and automatically reconnect. There are so many features in Bomgar. It's a different type of technology. It enables a lot more type of communication. There's collaboration capabilities that are built right in. And again, we're just very, very excited about what's happening as it relates to the integration to Symantec and how we can help you in your operations environment. So just a little bit more about the product architecture. Again, as I mentioned, the support technician themselves can be on a wide variety of devices, as you can also be on or supporting in different types of devices. We have oil and gas exploration companies, just as an example, where you have a technician in a pickup truck going out to an oil field, and the connectivity is limited to their cell phone. And you can imagine those environments that you're going to have slow connections. We can actually drop down to a 2-bit grayscale connection to really allow for that support session to occur. But if the connection drops, we automatically reconnect. And it's a huge time savings from an operations perspective. But what we're really looking at is, in this particular slide, notice that you're typically, in order to provide that support both on and off network, you're going to expose your Bomgar appliance within the DMZ, and that allows the technicians either on network or off network to also securely support those devices that are both on and off network. The key, once again, is that it's really a unified platform for remote support. We're not limited to a particular operating system. We're not limited to being on network, but just having the strength of our architecture from a security standpoint and the flexibility and ease of access. And again, when we do the demos out at the city tours, we will show you the wide variety of ways to start a session. You can start a session agentless coming in from a self-service portal to having an easy button, if you will, deployed out on the device where it's not running, but you simply just click on it and it allows you to interact natively through chat, get a hold of a support technician, and then that technician can elevate it to remote support and take over control of the device and see everything that is on the device and fix the issue. while recording it, and then put that right back into the incident record, saving time both for the end user as well as for the technician. So one aspect of the partnership between Bomgar and Symantec is it's important for you to know is, first and foremost, we're not licensed based upon nodes. We're actually licensed based upon concurrency of technical support reps that are using Bomgar. I, as a support representative, could have multiple tabs open in my console. I could be remote controlling a Wintel PC, a MacBook, and maybe a cash register or a phone. Point being is that from a Bomgar perspective, I'm one support technician, and therefore I'm consuming one license. So again, it doesn't matter how many nodes that you have. What we're really licensed based upon is how many technical support reps are using Bomgar. And again, those technicians can have multiple sessions happening. So the offer that we're making available to Symantec customers is essentially we're providing you with our appliance. We have physical appliances and virtual appliances. We're providing the virtual appliance and 2 concurrent licenses to be able to go out and help support your customers. In order to qualify for this, there's 2 things. If you notice this URL, please, while you're doing this, if you haven't done this already, we've already had well over 100 customers take advantage of this promotion. Is we need to know, to validate that you are a Symantec customer, we need to know your maintenance renewal ID number. So that's the last field that you're seeing on the right-hand side. So have that available, but also so that we know you're working with ITS partners is, enter their name. So we know, to be working together and supporting you through this transition. But again, it's an offer that provides you with the appliance with 2 licenses, as well as first-year maintenance at no charge. Very, very valuable offering. So I guess with that, I'm going to turn it back to Brandon, unless there's any other questions, and we'll continue to monitor those in the chat window.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We did have a couple of questions come up.
Okay.
For Bomgar, the first one that I saw was support for 2-factor authentication with Bomgar. So does Bomgar support 2-factor authentication for remote support?
Yeah, we have integrated with a variety of multi-factor. We have Radius. We've done integrations with Duo Security. So the answer is yes. It's a very, very important part of authenticating, and it's a very important part of our security model.
Excellent. We also had a question about Bomgar requiring an appliance for Altiris integration.
Yeah, good question. Back fundamentally to our architecture. Let me just go back a slide. Let's make a little bit more sense. Actually, this is more the 100,000-foot view. All communications do go through the appliance, so an appliance is required. We do have a variety of options that are available. Again, we do have a physical appliance and different models that are really geared towards scalability, or we have a virtual appliance, an appliance that would run in a VM environment. So think of that as your server. So it is required that you have the appliance. It's really up to you as to whether or not you want to run it in a software mode in your VM environment or have a rack-mounted device in your communications rack. But yes, you will need to have the appliance. But again, with respect to this promotion, we're providing it to you at no charge, but it does need to be installed.
Yeah, great. And to answer the second part of that question, it kind of goes hand in hand with the first response that Mike has had. The Altiris integration itself is done from the console. So we would provide a right-click action that actually uses an API to launch everything. So that's actually launching you to what Bomgar calls a jump client through the appliance. So all of the clients connect actually back to the Bomgar appliance itself, regardless if you were using it standalone or integrated with Altiris.
Yeah, and thanks for the clarification on that, Brandon. The one important point too, as I mentioned early on, that we are agentless. So when we have we call it attended access. So if it's an employee or a customer, because we have a lot of customers that use Bomgar in external support. I mean, Red Hat is just an example of many. But the point being is that in attended mode, the person needs help and they have the device in their hand. But if you think about retailers, we have Safeway, Radio Shack, Staples, a wide variety of retailers that use our technology. In order to go out to a store and take over control of a server or to take control of a cash register, we call our technology jump. Now the jump is, in that case, it is running, and what it's essentially doing is an outbound SSL heartbeat back to the appliance. So if you are in the console and you want to do a right click on a CI that's in your CMDB, I mean, that's an integration that does have to be loaded in your environment. I haven't seen it in operation, but I'm told it takes about 5 minutes. So it's a very, very simple integration, but it's being enabled from API calls coming from Altiris to the Bomgar appliance. And then it's really just leveraging that technology, as Brenda mentioned, called Jump.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And thanks. You actually answered part of another question that just came in. What does the integration between Altiris and Bomgar get you beyond what Bomgar offers on its own? So like Mike had mentioned, if we're working within the Altiris console and we want to launch a remote session right from the configuration item, then we can do so without having to go back and open up the Bomgar remote support console. Cool. Well, I don't see any other questions so far regarding Bomgar. I know that a lot of folks had some questions regarding some of the Altiris stuff. We will go through those questions and we'll get some responses out here within the next day or so. And we'll also get, looks like we have a couple more questions coming in with regards to Bomgar. We will, actually several questions. We'll get those out to you guys as well. We'll answer those questions, follow up with those who asked them, and send some mass responses out, because I see a lot of good questions here. I really want to move on real quick to talk about our Altiris revival here. We want you guys to be able to attend. We're going to be in several different cities, which I'll post up here in just a minute. But there's something different that we're doing about this tour this year. If any of you came to our Altiris 7.5 roadshow last year, it was really presentation based, where we were really just showing you guys the features of the new product. It wasn't quite as interactive as we wanted it to be. So this year, we're taking a different approach, and we want to be able to show everybody the features and functionalities of Altiris, but we also want it to be a collaboration experience, much like some of the user groups that you might attend, but a little bit more interactive than that. We're going to have an Altiris architect from ITMS there with you guys, who will be running the show, if you will, and you guys will be able to get some hands-on experience with the solutions. We'll have an open lab environment available to you guys, so we can go through different scenarios that maybe you want to test, but you don't want to test it in your production environment at your organization. So very knowledgeable. I know the individual who will be out there. I won't announce him yet. We want it to be a surprise to you guys, but most of you have probably either worked with him before or talked to him on the phone. So we don't want this to be a sales pitch. We will have folks there to answer any sales questions as well, but it's not going to be sales focused. This is not a pitch. This is an opportunity for folks to come and ask questions and get some good feedback on Altiris 7.6 as well as previous versions. So where are we going to be doing this? This is our initial schedule here. We're packing everything up, and we're going to be in the following cities on the following dates. We do have a website that I'll I'll give to you here in just a second. And actually, if you can see the graphic, www.itsdelivers.com/Altiris will get you what you need to start to get registered. We'll be meeting up in not a restaurant like we previously have in the past, but areas where we can have a type of an open lab or collaboration environment, maybe larger conference rooms. So I hope that you guys will be able to come out and attend with us. ITS has a long time enthusiasm with Altiris, as we've been back there since around the birth of Altiris itself, before Symantec owned and operated the product. So we're really excited about what Symantec is doing with the product, the investment that's being made into the product, as well as the development that's being made. And we're starting to see a real trend of a real upward trend at that Symantec is taking with getting this product out and really in parity or even above some other endpoint management products out in the world. So come on out and see us. We're really excited to talk to you guys. We'll have a couple of folks there that you'll be able to chat with, and yeah, we just want you guys to come out and have a good time, and maybe even collaborate with some of the other organizations that are out there. All right, well, that's what we have for you guys today. We want to thank you guys for attending. I've got some contact information here in case you want to reach out to anybody at ITS. We can also get you in contact with Bomgar as well. We've got a couple of sites up here. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. As many of you know, ITS does publish a lot of videos out on the web, on YouTube, as well as on our ITS Delivers website and on Vimeo, if you guys are interested in those. And for any more information about the Revival Tour, please visit www.itsdelivers.com/Altiris. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll get the questions out to you guys as soon as possible, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Mike.